So it is August 3rd, 2025, and the Leadville 100 race is 5 days away. I pick up my packet on Friday and race on Saturday. But I've been kind of delinquent about making videos and wanted to just recap my Leadville stage race. Taking a walk, I'm up at Copper Mountain, and I'm in West Village through walking over towards the lifts there. Got the 10-mile range behind me, beautiful area. But I want to just, I don't have a lot, I've only a little bit of footage of the race that Tara took. I did not take my camera on me. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do it this Friday either, because it's hard enough, and having an extra pound or so strapped to your chest adds a lot, more than you'd think for the whole distance. But not sure I'm going to do that. But anyway, I wanted to recap. So the stage race is a 3-day race, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was the last weekend. Yeah, it's Sunday the 3rd now, but it was last weekend in July. And the race, stage 1, goes from the rodeo grounds in Leadville to Twin Lakes. You climb St. Kevin's and you descend around Turquoise Lake, and then you climb Sugarloaf Pass. Then you go down the power line, and then you roll through a section called Outward Bound. It's one of the aid stations for the run, and now the mountain bike race as well. And then you go through a section called the Pipeline, which is actually the physical pipeline that takes water from Turquoise Lake down to Twin Lakes, which is why they call it the Pipeline. So you're riding over a fairly decently shaped gravel road. Then it switchbacks down into some areas. You enter a single track section, and then you come out into a neighborhood actually that has some pretty large parcels. And then you get onto an asphalt road, cross the highway going to Independence Pass and into Aspen, and then you roll into Twin Lakes, and that's where stage 1 starts. I'll show you, I'll bring up my my times for the race, but I did not do as well as I had hoped. Yeah, this whole time I've been shooting for an 8.5 stage race and a sub 9 for the full day race, but I think that's out of reach. I think the training that I've been doing, I think with Garmin, has been good, but it's also been, I don't know, I think maybe a little restrictive, and I haven't been getting the most out of the potential training that I could have gotten. That combined with my regular job, travel. I travel a lot for work. It takes me away for a few nights a week, a couple times a month, and that impacts my training. And at the end of day 1, I was hoping to be about 255, and I was around, I think, 318, 320. Let me check. If I pull up my Garmin app and look at my activity history, all activities, I'll run through see, stage 1. Here we go. So this is my Garmin time. This is, and I'll show you I'll actually pull up my actual Athlinks race results. So stage 1 from the fairgrounds, the rodeo grounds, to Twin Lakes, 39.95 miles, 3 hours and 15 minutes and 44 seconds. I was hoping for about 2:55. That would have put me on track for about eight and a half, which is what I needed for the big belt buckle. But so it was kind of, there was no way I was going to recover that in the second 2 days. So I just kind of mentally dismissed the 8.5 hour and focused a little more on on day 2 and days 3 on my power, my heart rate, and my nutrition to really try to dial that in. But you can see behind me the 10-mile range, just gorgeous. And I'm walking up the A road here, up through the lifts. But back to day 2. So stage 2 is the climb up Columbine and back to Twin. So you start at Twin Lakes, climb Columbine, come back down. It's about 4,000 feet of climbing. You get to 12,400 feet, I think. You leave Twin Lakes, you come across a little hill, down across some private property that's only open during the race. And then you start on the Forest Service Road that switchbacks up Columbine. And you get up to a section called the Goat Trail, which is, I mean, the pros are riding it. I've never been able to clean it. It's gravelly and kind of rough, and it's a narrow double track with racers coming down. So you really don't have, if you can't, I mean, if you're not ahead of everybody else, it's really hard to pass people going up because you got to watch the high-speed traffic coming down, and that's a challenge. But anyway, you walk near the top for about, I'd say, half mile. So that's slow, moving probably 2 miles an hour, 1.5 maybe at that altitude. And then you roll through the aid station. It's a little triangle, you got to go through the timer, and then you start descending. You can fly down Columbine. The top area, the double track Goat Trail, can be very dangerous because it's rocky, it's scree, there's people coming up, there's people going down. But once you get below that, you get onto the wide, pretty well maintained Forest Service Road, and you can haul. You're still putting out watts going down. But that day, I was deliberate with my pacing, and I was trying to stick between 180 watts and 200 watts and 85 cadence, probably 85, 90. And that, up until the top, the Goat Trail, I was keeping my heart rate below 150 most of the time, 145, 150. And that seems pretty sustainable. And I came down, finished stage 2 about the same time I did a few years ago. Let's see, stage 2, and I'll put this up on the screen. Stage 2, 22.41 miles, 2 hours and 31 minutes. I think I was shooting for about 210 to keep me on pace for the 8.5, but I slowed my pace, I slowed my watts, and that really made a big difference in my my endurance at the end of it. I felt pretty good. I was a little rugged at the end of day 1, stage 1, better on stage 2. And then on the stage 3 back to Leadville, I felt even stronger. Again, you leave at 9 o'clock in the morning from Twin Lakes, head back the same way. You bypass the single track and take an asphalt road with a 90-degree left-hand turn. And that will take you over to the pipeline. And then you roll the pipeline out through Outward Bound, and then you hit the bottom of Power Line. And that is where I had Tara waiting for me at the left turn to go on the little dirt road that takes you to the base of Power Line. On day 1, I had her at Pipeline, outbound. Day 2, no support needed because it's such a short stage. And then inbound, I had her at the bottom of Power Line, which from my pacing, nutrition, and kind of heart rate perspective, I was drinking as much as I could to drain my bottles, and I was carrying, I had about 1.5 liters in my 2-liter USWE bladder, and I put electrolyte hydration in that as well, and I think that helped. And I was being real diligent about draining my bottles before I got to Tara so she could swap them out. And my nutrition, my hydration was all electrolytes in the bladder and my bottles. And then my nutrition was Goose and Honey Stinger energy shoes. And I hit the bottom of Power Line, and I was in my 12th gear. I'm running a 32 on the front and 52 on the back. And I still can't quite clean Power Line. But I think I passed, if I'm guessing, I probably passed about 20 to 30 people on the way up the lower section of Power Line because everybody was walking. And I rode at about 2.5 miles an hour, keep my heart rate in the 150s on that because it's about 25% grade. And there's one little drainage feature about 100 feet from the top of the lower section of Power Line. And my front tire went in. I didn't have enough momentum to get out of it. And once you're off, you're off. But I passed a lot of people, and I was pretty pleased with that performance, given where I was and how far up I made it. I pushed my bike up to the top and then cleaned the rest of Sugarloaf. So that was actually a good ride. The conditions are pretty good. So if anybody's riding this weekend, Power Line from Sugarloaf down was in actually pretty good condition. A few puddles. We had a lot of rain the night before, or actually on Thursday night, and it tamped all the dust down. Didn't do a lot of erosion, and it's been pretty good. So I don't know about, it's been a week, and this week is supposed to be dry. So I'm hoping the conditions of the course aren't going to be any worse than they were last week. And I would consider the conditions favorable on the stage race. As good or better than I've seen. They cleaned up the creek crossing coming down Sugarloaf towards the top of Power Line, so you can roll right through that super easy, and you can ride across it on the way back up too. So day 3 again, I made it up Sugarloaf, descended. I think my biggest concern on Sugarloaf was getting a flat coming down, because I ride pretty fast and I'm running Maxxis Aspens on there, not the lightest ones, but the next lightest ones, 2.4, at about 28 pounds, 25 pounds really. And that section concerns me because it's really bangy. And if you're trying to go fast, you just have to roll right through the rocks there. So you can't really pick a line. And there were people, we were passing people going down. I was in a line with other guys and made it through there, no flat. Kept up a good pace going down around Turquoise Lake. And I would say probably the most pleased I was of the entire race was climbing the road around Turquoise Lake. I think it's like 2.5, 3 miles, 6 to 8% grade. And I got into that same kind of cadence that I was working on Columbine, about 180 to 200 watts, 85 to 90 cadence. And I probably passed a dozen people going up there, and then kept the momentum through Carter aid station, and then down the other side of St. Kevin's, and then got into a pace line, which I find that hard for me to do, is get into a pace line, finding a group that's appropriately paced. But I turned around at the bottom of St. Kevin's, and there were about 6 people behind me, and I pulled for probably a mile on the dirt road, and then they could tell that I was flagging a little bit, because I was probably holding 220 watts, and somebody came to the front, and I was fortunate enough to be able to hang on and not fizzle at the end. And although when we got to the bottom of the boulevard, that group pulled away, probably beat me by 100 yards maybe at the end, and I just couldn't quite stay attached to that group, unfortunately. So lost them, but didn't lose too much. And then my time on stage 3, let's see, stage 3 was 41 point, this is toward according to Garmin, and I'll put both these and my official times up. 41:04 mileage, 3 hours and 33 minutes, average 11.5, 4,091 feet of elevation gain on stage 3. But my legs were cramping at the end, but aside from that, I wasn't totally smoked. And I'm still nervous about this weekend, because it's just so long, and you just really have to pace yourself. I mean, it's fueling and pacing, and that's the real ticket. So my adjusted goal now is 10 hours. I have a chart where I compare my 2021 times with 10 hours. So I did 10 hours and 38 minutes in 2021, and I'm shooting for 10 hours. I think I'm in better shape than I was in 2021, and I think I'm in better shape than in 2021. And I put a 0.9, I have to go 6% faster is what I'm shooting for in 2021, and that'll put me right at 10 hours flat. So if I get into the 9s, knowing that sub 9 big belt buckle out of the question, unfortunately, but I think a sub 10 for me, given my training and what I actually had the capability, and just the time to put into the training. I'm pretty happy with where I am. So I would say, summarizing, I'm disappointed because I didn't get 8.5. My official time was 9:18 and something, basically 9:18. My 2021 stage race time was 9:19, so I beat 21 by a minute, but I felt better. And I was 18 minutes slower than my 2023 stage race, which was 9 hours flat and like 12 seconds or something like that. But overall, I'm 60 now, turned 60 back in June. So I'm officially in the 60 to 69 age group. I did end up 13 out of 41 over 60, or at least 60 to 69. And I was 151 out of 321, I think, that started. And there were a handful of people that didn't finish stage race. It's not that common. A lot of people don't finish the full race that's coming up. But that's the stage race. Since there's no cutoffs, you don't finish if you don't want to finish. Like, they don't pull your tag. So you just go as long as you want to go. And got another belt buckle and finisher medal and all that good stuff. And I got 5 days to go. With that, I will sign off. Keep riding. See you on the next ride.